I'm calling this video Jewelry Maintenance 101, and it's just some little tips that I've picked up from doing jewelry making that help you keep your jewelry looking nice and shiny. So I have a couple of items that I have of my own personal items that have had a little bit of wear and tear on them. So you should be able to see the little scratch marks on the back end of this ring over here. And I'm a little hard on my jewelry because I garden and I make jewelry in my jewelry and I'm using tools, etc., etc. So there's that one that we're going to work on fixing and getting rid of those little scratches. And then I have this little bracelet that I got from my friend Sarah from Rockabella Made. And this was my mantra for last year, breathe. Just because I felt like we all needed to breathe into relaxing and trying to not be too stressed out about the virus, etc., etc. So this one over here, if you look really carefully in the section here, has some little scratches, etc., etc. And, you know, I've already told you how hard I am on my jewelry. So what we're going to need to fix these are a few little items. Yes, these are nail files that I picked up from my local beauty store. So this one is a 280 and a 320 grit, and this one is a 400 and a 600 grit. And then this one is like the final buffing one. This is the slightly rough one, smoother, and then super smooth on this side. This is what you would use on the top of your nails if you were buffing them smooth. And then if we still need it, some additional polishing, I have the sunshine polishing cloth. And if we really have some stubborn areas, very fine steel wool. This is grade quadruple 0. So let's jump in, and I'm going to start off with the ring. So I'm going to work on getting rid of those. Now, these are not super deep scratches, so I'm going to start not at the 280 320 grit. If they were deep scratches, I would start with the lower grit because it's got a rougher surface. So I'm going to start with the 400 600, and I'm going to choose the least of, or the smoothest of those, which is the 600, and I'm just going to kind of just sand it a little bit on that back end there. And lift up and see how I'm doing. Nope, the scratches are still there, so we need to do some more sanding here. If I'm not having any joy getting rid of those scratches with the 600 grit, then I will go back to the 400 grit. And you're wanting to sand these until it sounds like it's smooth and less raspy. So I'm just having a peek at that one, and now that I'm doing this, I'm seeing there's some scratches on the side here. So since I'm going to be trying to do this ring properly, let's focus on those edges there too and get the whole band looking nice and smooth. So just doing that there. Sorry about the noise in the background. That's our furnace kicking in because it's springtime here and it's a little chilly in the house. And now I'm examining all of those areas there, and the 600 grit seems to be doing this quite well. There's just one little scratch section over here, so I'm just going to do that a bit more. And let me have a closer look at that. Nope, there's still a little scratch over here. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm pretty happy with it now. So then I'm going to take this grit, because it's like the next one up, and there's sections of it that are rougher over here and a bit smoother, and so I'm just going to be rubbing and buffing that one over there, and then just rotating the ring around as I'm doing it. So these are all tools that you can have. The sunshine cloth you can just order online, or some jewelry stores actually sell them. So I'm going to show it to you now. You should see how that has improved. So I'm just going to rotate it around. It's looking pretty good. So then after this one, then I'm going to focus on using this side here and just buff, buff, buff. This was a ring that I made last year when I was learning how to do tube sets. So that's what these are called, tube sets. And then the final one. And look how nice and smooth that's looking. I'm not even feeling like I need to use my polishing cloth on that one. It is way better. So I'm going to stick it back on my finger. And now I'm going to focus on this one over here, which has some scratches over here and over here. Now what I may find with this one is it kind of has a satin finish. So I'm going to probably have to go into the scratches first and then restore it back to the satin. And probably to do that, I'm going to have to use my, my steel wool. So let's at least attempt this one over here with the 600 grit. And you will notice that it's not removing the patina that's within the writing of the word breathe. But I do want to make sure that I get these scratches off the edges here. And it's looking pretty good, but there's still a scratch just at the bottom end of the B here. So I'm just going to flip my board around to the area where it's pretty new and just rub it vigorously. There we go. Looks pretty good. And I'm just, now that I'm seeing this side here, there's some scratches on this side here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just give the whole thing a little bit of a sanding. And then the side, might as well just go ahead and do that. So I am still seeing a little bit of a mark here at the B, so just going in and being a little bit harder as I sand back and forth there. And looks great now. So now, in order to restore it back to the sort of brushed look, I use that steel wool there. And just work my way around the bend, around the curve of the bracelet. And this side too. So there you have it. That's how you go ahead and you fix little scratches and little divots in your jewelry. Just make sure that it's like a 400 to 500 grit. The lower grade grits, if it feels like it's a really deep one. And then use your buffer and have your sunshine cloth as a backup and your really fine steel wool.